y'all? It's your boy Lit. Welcome back to another episode of My Life is Awesome. Now, I have two special guests with me. These are OGs in the community. I have a lot of respect for these people being around here in this Pulse game. Now, right now in this market with all the conditions happening and everything going on, it's incredibly important to understand that while moving forward, we have to understand where we've been. And if you don't know where you've been, it's very hard to find out where you're going. But if you have true understanding, high level of consciousness within yourself, you can actually feel really stable if you understand your past. And looking forward, that's what we have to do. So I bought Valiant Brand here. I'm so stoked. Brand Hammer, thank you so much for being here. And I brought Crypto Compassion. Crypto Compassion has been in this community. He has a channel. He has a lot to share about life. He's into real estate. He loves crypto. And we're stoked to have him here. And we're going to talk to Brand about what it's like to go through a bear in the past. Valiant Brand's been in this crypto game a long time, and he's had to sit through the harshness and incredible stress of a bear market before. And I just want to ask you, Brand, thank you for being here. When you were first getting into crypto, the crypto sphere was totally different. What was it like? What were conditions like when you first got into crypto?
Well, so when I first got into crypto, it was the beginning of 2017. And so same thing, like when I was buying Litecoin and Bitcoin, a lot of the cryptocurrencies were going up, right? And I had also followed Richard Hart, maybe like a month or two into finding crypto Twitter. But then long story short, when Richard called the top, similar with RG3, he's kind of shared this similar sentiment where, you almost don't want to believe him, And so I kind of just held on to my bags as what I thought was going to hockey stick forever and go up forever. It didn't go up forever, And so I think it was like sub 1,000, went to 20,000, and then retraced to like 3K. But that was my first market cycle in cryptocurrency. And, I was working full time and overtime and pretty much trying to stack up and save every single penny aside from, the bills and food and things like that to invest in crypto, because honestly, it was always the asset that I was kind of looking for. And before getting into crypto, had done some other stuff, some stock, like minor amount of stocks in the past, a couple shares here and there, and then some gold and silver. But then crypto really kind of, just made sense to me.
Yep.
So when you first got in crypto, you got to see a huge run up, and you mentioned it retraced. Tell people who are new here, what is retracement and what actually happens psychologically when you see something just firing up, moon running, and you're riding it, and then all of a sudden, boom, you get hit with a fat retracement. Tell people what that's like, because there's a lot of new people who they don't know how to take it. They've never recovered through it. They don't understand what's actually happening. So help people understand what that's like to get up and then have massive retracement.
Yeah, it's a good question. If you type in on Google, like Wall Street cheat sheet, you can see, what one market cycle looks like. And it pretty much shows the maximum opportunity, which is also the maximum point of fear. And that's generally when people who are over leveraged are panic selling, and then people that weren't over leveraged, they're able to buy. But as far as that goes, I mean, even some of us that were, that had experienced the most recent market cycle for Hex, when it was going up almost on, a daily basis or a weekly basis, it really is a market cycle of emotions. And the very top of it is like euphoria. Unlike any other euphoria I had ever experienced. And, everything comes to an end, right? Or at least temporarily for the market cycle. And so as far as the retracement goes, I mean, at least in 2017, 20K was the Bitcoin top, and then it started going down. And honestly, just like the, the Wall Street cheat sheet, that's something that, whether like you don't have to be a trader to kind of understand the dynamics of it. I think it's important to, kind of just understand how the market itself works. But for me, what happened was, so you think you're such a genius when it's going up. And then it went down a little bit after, Richard had called that. He said, hey, this is the top. And then, in the actual cheat sheet itself, one of the words is complacency. So you see it go down a little bit. And you're like, okay, it's just doing a little cool off, and then it's going to go back up, and then it continues to, chop and then keep dropping and dropping. So the thing that I would say for people, whether it's crypto or anything else, is, it pays obviously to be familiar with the market itself, at least with things like Hex. The product itself hasn't changed, right? When the price has gone up a whole bunch or when the price has gone down, you're still getting the same Hex. It's not like that's really changed. And so once again, for me, I was just trying to save every penny as possible to put it into this crypto, because I had seen it run up so heavily before.
Yeah.
So basically, when things started retracing for you, you had to modify your mindset. And you said you started working, and what were you just grinding? Essentially, like, you got to see this thing just absolutely moon run, and then it tanks. And now you're sitting here going, oh my God, what am I doing? So essentially, you just dug your heels in and started working. You started grinding. Is that what you did at that time? You started grinding and stacking chips?
Yeah, so I didn't really sell any of my crypto. Hadn't really, been experienced with that yet. So honestly, dude, I'm not gonna lie, some of it was kind of depressing, man, because working full time, taking whatever pennies of the paycheck, $100 here and there, and then just seeing the value keep going down. It was like, dude, is this going to go down forever? Because the fiat was the same, but the value in dollar was going down in the crypto. But then once again, luckily it didn't go completely to zero, right? Because a lot of cryptocurrencies do. But now it takes a little bit of time for the market itself to find a bottom, at least in most cryptocurrencies. And similar to what Kevtron is saying, that's why dollar cost averaging is so important during the bear market. A lot of these things you hear and it sounds simple, but when you're actually practicing it, is when it kind of makes sense to actually dollar cost average.
I think you hit on a nail on the head there with the right cryptos, because some cryptos go to zero. But you mentioned, we know that in this Hex Pulse Chain and Pulse X community that there's product market fit. And so if you have conviction in what you're doing, it will drive you to work hard so you can stack those chips like Lit was talking about, so you can DCA at this present moment. Yeah.
I think that's such an important thing to understand when you're looking at this stock market game, when you're looking at this crypto game, when you're looking at any asset that appreciates or has retracement, no one can time the market. All right. I learned that right away from these badass brokers in the stock market I learned from when I first got started in this game. They told me you cannot time the market, but they showed me this incredible work that some of these dudes had put together. And what it showed is the market cycles. And if you had bought at the height of the high, way back in the day at different points, they checked all these starting points. All right, let's say you just bought the absolute peak and then it cliffed and you tanked. If you did that before major market crashes, even if you did that, if you held long enough, you would be in the gains. You wouldn't actually be losing money. Does that make sense? If you see a chart that trends upward, and as it keeps going bigger, there's big dips, but it doesn't actually go beyond a certain point when you put money in. And when they showed me that, I was really blown away. And it taught me, whoa, if you want to be good in stocks, you have to understand, even if you buy the high and everything tanks, if you hold it long enough, you will actually get your money back and you may even crush it. And the only thing that isn't true for is certain companies. If you buy a company and it goes bankrupt. In crypto, it's the same thing as a rug. If you buy a token and the liquidity gets pulled and the thing gets rugged, boom. It's the same thing as like a company going bankrupt in the stock market. So what I learned is that you have to actually think that far long term. And Balliot, this crypto game is a little different. In crypto, you can actually have gains that are out of control off the page. Money changing, never work again. You literally wake up and you're like, all right, what do I want to do? Because that's what I'm doing. crypto can bring that to you right away. It's a little bit different. What is it like in the crypto bear when things are so volatile? They can go so high and then down so low. What do you do in that time when you were working and you're dealing with that? Because this is one of the most important topics to talk about in this community, is that people have regular jobs, all right? And they're sitting there and money's tight and mortgage is more and inflation's happening and food's more expensive and gas has been all crazy. And now we have this hurricane and there's real hexagons affected. So we really have to get real with each other and say, all right, what are we going to do to get through this bear? And I want to just talk to you a little bit about what that was like for you, because you not only survived the bear, but you actually got to see the bull again. So tell everyone in the chat and who watches this stream, like, how do you actually get through when you're struggling and you do start getting depressed and down on yourself and like, what am I doing? How am I going to get out of this? Like, this is real life talk here. What did you do?
Sure. You know, I focused on things that I could have control over, you know, because I quickly learned, and kind of, as you mentioned, whether it's a bull market or a bear market, you know, you really need to focus on, once again, if you're spending a whole bunch of time on social media, say at work, and the market itself is bearish and the sentiment's kind of bearish, is that really gonna, you know, improve your mood? Is that really gonna kind of improve your position and where you're at, or is that maybe gonna shake you out and kind of, you know, weaken or lower some of your sentiment? So for me, once again, was following a whole bunch of people on YouTube. And what I find generally is during the bear market, at least from what I've experienced, is it's generally in the bull market where everyone comes out of the woodworks and, you know, there's a million different streams and a million different videos. And then in the bear market, just because there's not a whole bunch going on, a lot of people aren't necessarily doing a whole bunch of videos. So, and then the other thing that I would say too is, honestly, so it was first in the Hex community that I really, I knew a couple of people in crypto before, but it was just on Twitter. Like, I really had no idea who they were. But the best thing that I can say that this community has that I've experienced is, you know, try and get a couple of friends, you know, that maybe have either had a similar experience in the past, or people that can kind of share similar ideals to you that are focused on, you know, having similar goals, and kind of, you know, stick with people that are like-minded, right? Because it can be really easy to, you know, if you see 99 posts that are negative and one of them that are bullish, it can be really easy to be like, you know what, screw this, man, and then just sell all of it. And then that might be the best opportunity that people were buying. And then all of a sudden, next bull market, you're like, dang it, dude, why did I sell? You know, it would have been worth this much.
I think that's why it's so important for us in this community to meet up with each other in person. I mean, I know I traveled north to see you, you know, Bran, and I'm going to travel south to visit you there, Lit. And, you know, we're going to meet up, but it's so important to get that iron sharpens iron, you know, and kind of help you carry you through tough times like this, you know. And I think we all know we have some hope. I mean, we're in this community and we are, like, you know, Richard says, we're a city on the hill. I mean, we're going to, like you always say, like, it's just a moon runner, you know what I mean? It's just going to be. And so everyone just needs to, like, you know, stay strong. We got this.
Optimus says, I feel bad for anyone who gave up on Hex during this bear market. Absolutely. Yeah. You know, we got to recognize, y'all, in this game that I learned from the stock market, with all the experience that I had coming into crypto, it's so relevant right now. This is like they couldn't be more in alignment. And what I need you guys to understand is that your mind can become your worst enemy right now. This is when your mind can turn on you. So you have to actually branch out your consciousness to other areas that you have experience in. And if you understand, ooh, I got through a baseball. I used to play baseball and I was getting bullied and I wasn't doing well. And then I got injured. And you know what? I recovered. And then I started crushing it and I started working out and stretching. And all of a sudden, that I don't get bullied anymore. And now I got the game-winning run and my whole game changed. But you have to look back at, like, when you wanted to quit and you're getting bullied and you weren't feeling good. what did you do with your life? What choices did you make? Did you let your mind win and beat you up and make you quit? Or did you actually flex out and pull yourself through it? And
Yeah.
people forget how much power that they have inside of them. Like we actually can get disassociated from the part of ourselves that feels strong. And Brand just said it. If you read 99 posts and one of them is positive and all of them are just people heckling or just coming down on what you're into, it really does affect you. And when you look at your money, how big of a bag you have, if it starts getting tighter and tighter, that does the same thing. It puts pressure.
Yeah.
And now your mind has all these areas that are coming in on itself. So it's incredibly important to first recognize the past. Okay, what are market cycles? Then it's good to understand where we are now. Then it's good to understand looking forward. If we don't understand these foundational points, we're going to get in a position where our mind will come against us. And I want you all to look in your life on areas of things you've overcome that were hard at first, but they took time. And Crypto Compassion here, I'm really glad he's here. I want to talk to you a little bit about real estate, because in the past, you have a lot of experience and you were around before the crash and then you were there during the crash of 08. So tell people, like, the psychology of going through that. I remember that. It was an absolutely devastating time. Absolutely devastating. And there was ARM mortgages, there was adjustable rates, there was so much stuff. Can you explain real quickly to people here what was happening in your world before the crash? What happened building up? What were you doing? And then what was it like once everything actually fell off the cliff?
Right. So, I started my career as a residential loan officer. So that meant I was dealing with the public on a daily basis, and I was like, helping out them with mortgage loans. And that was like 2001. And then about 2005, I went into the wholesale industry where I was in subprime. And subprime mortgages, subprime mortgages, bottom line were mortgages that should not have been handed out to people to buy houses. It was kind of hey, you just tell us how much you make. We're not even going to verify. Like, if you worked at McDonald's and you had a 700 credit score, you could say you made $500,000. We don't even want to know where you work. Bottom, you know what I mean?
I want to go back to those times.
Yeah, maybe not. But bottom line is the market cycle that we lived when it came to 2008, those subprime, mortgage loans came back, the chickens came home to roost. And I remember sitting talking with my dad, and I told him this was about before 2008 and the crash and how it affected stocks and everything and the global economy. I remember telling him, I said, "Hey, Dad, there's some stuff that's about to hit the fan that's going to change the entire world." Because I remember Wall Street stopped buying our mortgages. Because
what triggered it? Because you're sitting there, everything's good, you're making money, you're crushing it. You saw ahead of the curve, didn't you?
Yeah. So like JP Morgan and Merrill Lynch, they just stopped flying out to the West Coast, and they weren't buying the mortgage loans. So that's and then I kind of started seeing all these like wholesale mortgage lenders go out of business, and I said, something's coming. And it was a market cycle, and it was also bad judgment on behalf and greed of Wall Street. You know what I mean? And out of that, though, in 2008, we saw Bitcoin, because it was a big middle finger to Wall Street and everything that they've done to the world. You know what I mean? So out of that, Bitcoin came to fruition, and an entire industry of mortgage, subprime went out of industry. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I understand. So what I want to draw from these market cycles and things that you've been through in real estate is the adjustable ARM mortgages, the adjustable rate mortgages. Essentially, what would happen is you'd get qualified and you'd have a payment. And then in time, in 1 year and 2 years, your $2,000 payment would suddenly become $3,500 or $4,000. The rate would adjust. And the way it translates is all of a sudden 2 racks you can make your living. If you have kids, if you have family, and all of a sudden boom, one day jumps up to 4. And
Yep.
what happened is it absolutely wrecked people. And much love to anyone who got hurt in that. But what Crypto Compassion could do is he could see ahead of the curve by understanding these big dog institutions stopped putting orders in. And when the big dogs stopped buying, think about that. It's like all the market pressure, all the upwards buying pressure that they can create is what hypes these markets and holds them up. So if they pull their support, things tank. And if you don't have retracement in a chart, it's not a healthy chart. Straight up. Anyone who's been investing a long time can tell you, you have to have pullbacks. It's called a correction for a reason. Okay. Corrections happen. In crypto, they're a lot gnarlier. In the stock market, if you buy something and the company drops 95% in value, like something happened. You understand? Something happened. Okay. There's news, there's some trauma, there's some issue. But in crypto, that can happen from a whale just selling off who's completely independent at his own computer, just kicking it, going, you know what, I'm going to get out of this thing. Boom. And he just liquidates and gets out. You understand? So it's different in the crypto game. And I just want to create the understanding that if you've been through other cycles, it helps you right now. And that's what I want to talk to people about. That's what I want Brand here to really let us know. You've been through this, you recovered. Tell us, being in the bear and then recovering, what happens once you're all recovered? And then, like, do you feel as safe when you're high and crushing it, or how does it affect your psychology?
Well, that's actually a really good question, and I actually want to go back to the point that you had mentioned earlier, where you had mentioned, okay, as far as like the market cycle or where we're at, say with Hex, for example, you know, you're grinding, maybe your dollar cost averaging, whatever you can. But once you've been in a market cycle, kind of like you mentioned, looking forward to the future, because at the end of the day, this is all speculation, you know, so no one's really got a crystal ball of what happens, right? We just think we know what it's going to do because of trends. Yeah. But the next time, so after I had the first market cycle under the belt, you know, the next time it happens, it's not so bad. But believe me, the first time, you know, when you see the emotions, you know, it can be depressing at times. It can be sometimes a lack of hope and things like this. And that's why if you've been around people that have like someone like Richard that's been in Bitcoin super early, he's experienced, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 market cycles, right? So so this most recent one, it's like, okay, this isn't too bad, because he knows that, you know, it's gonna, you know, make the low and then go back up again. But there's a maximum point of opportunity where instead of, so you have the hockey stick up and then you kind of have it going down, and then generally it just starts going sideways for a super long time. And then eventually, you know, it goes back up again. And then it's that kind of feeling is like reprieve, you know, it's a relief from whatever stress that you had earlier. But I'll find that, you know, some people, you know, because it sucks to see your bags go down 95%. But from what I've experienced is some of the people that might be going through it, you know, maybe more than others, maybe they took on leverage, you know, maybe they put in, this is what happens. It's gambling. It's like an addiction where, you know, when it's going up, you think you're an absolute genius. And it's like, oh man, this just did a, you know, 100% in 1 week. You know, what if I did this and, you know, then I can pay it back. So those people, you kind of learn, okay, just play with whatever, for me at least, I played with whatever I could and never, you know, never did any leverage. But that's definitely the lesson is, like you had said, kind of looking forward to the future. And also, I don't know the actual like average market cycle, but I know at least with Hex, I mean, we're at least a year into, you know, it having gone down, and I don't know how much longer we got, to be honest, right? But you know, usually what happens is once it starts going up, you kind of wish like, man, I wish it could have stayed down a little bit lower so I could keep buying a little bit more. And that's generally once it starts going back up and making the next one.
That's one of the most important parts ever. Crypto Compassion. When you hear that, when you hear brands say, "Oh my God, we're starting to moon run right now. I wish I had bought more." I wish we could
Right.
get a little lower and I could stuff my bag full. How does that
Yeah.
hit you?
Man, it was just last night. I was talking to my fire roasted chicken, my girlfriend, and I was talking with her, and she's like, what's up with Pulse Trade and PulseX? Why hasn't it launched? And I tried explaining the market cycles to her and all that kind of stuff. I said, remember back in 2008 when the mortgage dumped, it was the best time to buy. And in the as far as look at 9/11, best time to buy. COVID, best time to buy. So it's almost like we know that Richard knows market cycles. We know that, Brand's been through a market cycle, a heavy one, and we've all been through some other legacy market cycles. It's almost like we know something might happen here, and I won't get it too much into it, but we know that once that hits, Richard's looking forward to it, and that's when things are going to go. And that's just how it is. I mean, in this industry, sometimes you almost have to be like an ambulance chaser. And once there's a call, it's time to go.
I think that's a great way to put it. If we don't stay on it, let's be honest. Crypto moves so fast. Technology moves so fast. We have to actually stay on it. And I do think when this Pulse chain actually launches, if any of y'all have experience here in this chat, in this community, don't you think it's going to be a button push on Twitter and says, oh, yeah, Pulse chain's live, y'all. Mainnet's live. Could you see it being any other way, Brand?
No, I used to think a lot of things, but I used to think that there was going to be like a warning or some of these other things, but with the way that the liquidity and some of this stuff is going, I don't think that's going to happen. I think a lot of us have had plenty of time to wait.
Yeah.
And it's usually when, like you had mentioned, talking to the girlfriend and same thing. I was talking with my girlfriend last night too. And she's like, man, thought this was going to happen mid-May. And it's usually when you're almost not everyone, but sometimes you're like, man, is this ever going to launch? It's kind of like one time I was hiking a mountain, Mount Si in Washington. And I was like, man, is this mountain ever going to show? And then right when I wasn't about to give up, but it just felt like it was forever. And then people were saying like, oh yeah, man, you're really close. It was like 0.1 miles away. So, once again, none of us really know once it's going to happen, but once it does, it's kind of like Optimus Kevtron said, like, imagine selling in the bear market. Like in my opinion, once it does launch, the wait is worth it,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think, if you just want to just stop beating around the bush, we have to be 100% honest and say fortunes are made in the bear markets when you can accumulate and stack chips and your dollar has more bang for its buck. That's the bottom line. How much can I get for $1? And when you put that dollar into something, you want to have the absolute most gains possible. So crypto being the easiest way to roll over and start having major insane gains from your original dollar, for you to start multiplying that. Crypto's the fastest way I've ever seen happen. You might get lucky gambling or something, but there's limits in crypto. You can actually have 14,000 X's and 6.9 million X's. We've been shown that with empirical data from the charts of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when you understand there's only 4 coins that have ever done a 10,000X, okay? And of those 4 coins, only one of them has a new coin coming out. Drink that in, y'all. In the whole of the crypto game, there is 4 10,000X's and only one of them has a new coin. And there's actually 2. You get that? It's actually Pulse Coin and Pulse X. So we have the most incredible promise, but honestly, we're kind of like a SPAC right now. We're like, everything is said to be happening, but it isn't launched yet. And we have the plan and we have the test net and the investment capital's there and the community's there. And we're all frothing to get this thing launched, but it is a process and we don't know when, but I think when it does happen, we're just going to get a tweet out from Richard and it's going to say mainnet's live. I'm extremely looking forward to that. So
I want to back it up real quick because I know that you mentioned exactly what you and Maddie all in said. 4 cryptos, and I think the broader crypto, YouTube, everything, the entire crypto community doesn't understand that 4 cryptos and 2 new cryptos are birthing out of that. That's huge. And we all know that we in Pulse Chain and Pulse X, a lot of people aren't talking about it, but we're so early. We are so early, especially when you mentioned those 4 and 2 coins coming out. 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, that's the bottom line for me to try to understand, like, getting through the FUD and getting through all the people and the part of your mind that starts turning against you, like, oh, what's going on? Why is this so delayed? And for those of us who've been here the whole time, like before the SAC and then during the original Pulse Chain SAC, I just want to explain, like, can we go back to that time, Bran? Do you remember, like, the amount of excitement each day of the sacrifice? Do you remember what that time was like? It wasn't like a normal day. It wasn't a normal day. It was like so much information. Where's the money? I got to transfer this. Here's going to happen here. It was so much happening at that time that the time it got compacted. So every hour almost felt like there's just so much going on.
Yeah.
And to unpack all of that and then be where we're at now, it is very draining and stressful, and life's happening, and there's a lot of stuff in the media, and there's a lot of stuff that is happening in real estate markets, and the dollar and the Fed is just pumping up rates. And when we see the Fed pumping rates, we have to understand that affects the prime rate in real estate. And when you start affecting the prime rate, essentially what you're doing is you're messing with the cost of people's mortgages. And when you qualify for something 2 years ago, that's $3,000 mortgage. And now all of a sudden, 2 years later, you go to qualify and it's a $5,000 mortgage. You're not going to be able to afford that. And that's what's happening with so many people. We have to get 100% real, y'all. This is what they're looking at. They're looking at mortgages that used to be 2 or 3, and now they're 4 or 5. And this is just the facts of when the Fed is pumping up the rate and then the prime rate gets affected. You guys have to understand, these are things you can actually check on and watch and track if there's empirical data. And just that is in housing. Imagine in food, imagine in gas, and the prices, how it relates to all of our taxes and everything we're doing. So in this time, it's not just, oh, be strong, get through the bear. It's actually understanding, being real with yourself and saying, whoa, look at all the stuff I have to deal with, and give yourself credit. You have to actually give yourself credit. You have to talk to yourself. You have to be like, whoa, am I stretching every day? Am I eating healthy? Am I drinking enough water? Little things like that. We forget about that because we start getting all stressed out. And as a coach, you have to dig deep within yourself. I just did an interview with Raquel yesterday. She's absolutely an incredible, inspirational hexagon, and her story is so inspiring. And she was able to overcome stuff in her life that was so hectic. She got very sick. She had brain cancer. She could barely get up the stairs sometimes, lost her hair, and she absolutely rebuilt herself with natural health and juicing. It's so incredible. I really want all y'all to go give her love. And she's just, you can't even tell she was ever sick. And it's so inspiring. That's what I'm talking about. There's people in this community who have been through so much struggle, and they didn't give up. And they kept going, and they believed in themselves, and they felt this power that even if everything around me is crumbling, I have this power within me. And that power within me is what's going to carry me through. And whatever you throw at me, I'm going to overcome it. And it becomes this kind of attitude where you can bob and weave and go, oh, yeah, that stress is happening, but guess what? I can handle that. And this is coming into place, and this is going to balance itself out. And you start to get more control in your mind. When you can develop that control, now you have defense against bear markets and the amount of mental stress that comes at you. When you research cycles, you can understand, oh my God, this cycle is a part of the game. And if it doesn't happen, it's an unhealthy chart. And unhealthy charts that don't have corrections tank. And that's just how it works in the stock market. You need pullbacks. in crypto, we have to look at all the factors happening. When this is actually launched and we have a bull run, that's what people have to actually see as the end goal. We have to actually focus like a sniper rifle and see through the lens and understand, all right, we have to get to launch. We have to get to PulseX launch. We have to get to this whole game where all the fresh money that we're talking about on the sidelines can actually be pumped in. We have to get listed. We have to have money coming in so people can be buying this product. And that's when we can really start ping-ponging ourselves and get in the position we need. So we have to be very clear. We're all waiting for this. And right now, all of these factors from all over our life, they are playing on our minds and our consciousness alongside waiting to get to that promised land. So we have to really actually take a look at ourselves. And in the meantime, before Pulse Chain launches, we have to take care of our mental, spiritual, energetic, physical health. So I'm in the gym a lot, stretching. Tell me, you guys, what are some of the things you're doing to stay healthy in this bear market, mentally and physically, emotionally?
Yeah, so I guess I'll say the same thing too. And we were talking on the phone that, and I think there's been studies about this, and definitely from my experience too, that what happened for me was in the bull market, I was constantly on social media, and honestly, that was kind of withering away at some of my mental health, and some of the sleep as well. Right, the sleep wasn't necessarily as good as it is now and as it should have been. And then also just relationships with family, man. Like we were kind of talking when I first got into this community. It reminded me of some of the bond that I have with my brothers. And so I kind of, fully invested myself into the community, spent a whole bunch of time. But especially during a bear market, or if there's really nothing new going on, I know we always want to watch a new stream or find something to do. But if that's not the case, I mean, for me, this was a great time to, like, lately been spending a lot more time with the girlfriend or with the family members, with the parents, things that you can control. And then the thing I do want to say real quick as well, that you had kind of mentioned for just the future, for people that this is the first market cycle, is, once this is over, you'll kind of have an understanding of, what a full cycle looks like once it's, gone back full circle. And then maybe next time, as Lit said, in hindsight, right, when we were hockey sticking up to, and I didn't think this, I thought we were going to go to $1, some of these other things. But in hindsight, when we were hockey sticking up, maybe it's not the brightest idea to be buying when it's hockey sticking, right? But generally it can be easy to fall into the euphoria, especially if you bought, say, at 30 cents and then, I don't know, 3 weeks later it's at 50 cents. So the only thing I wanted to say is that no one gets it perfectly. Richard has talked about the same thing too, right? Where he had bought Bitcoin at 30 and then it went down to 2, and so I'm sure that he said he held it, right? But it makes you not mad at yourself, but it makes you realize, okay, the next time that this happens, I'm not going to let it happen again. I'm going to take more profit, or, I'm going to, dollar cost average out as well.
Crypto Compassion, any thoughts?
Yeah. I think it's important, like, as far as kind of hit home on what you're talking about. I know I work out like 30 minutes a day minimum, you know what I mean? And I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it kind of creates that discipline. And I think in this bear market, I think it's really important for us to all look at areas of self-improvement in every area, physically, mentally, spiritually. I know that all hits home with you, Lit. It's important that we continue to grow as a community individually, because then when we come together, we get to share that vibe together as a growing community, that we're thriving. You know what I mean? And I know I've been working a ton in every aspect, whether it be spiritual, physical, mental. It's all important, going forward. If you can't handle it in a bear market, it's almost like the universe is telling you, if you can't handle it in a bear market, then maybe you can't deal with it in a bull. You know what I mean? And so it's important.
It's a really great point. Like if you don't flex those muscles in a bear, imagine when it's a bull and you get all weird and you think, oh my God, it's not going to go up anymore and it's going to tank, and you start fighting yourself in in a bull, and then you
Right.
sell, and then you watch the thing 5, 6, 7, 8, 10x from where you just were. And you're like,
Right.
oh my God, what did I just do? And you start looking at lost opportunity cost. These are the same muscles in your mind. Okay. Those same muscles, when we're in this bear and we're all stressed out, oh my God, is this thing ever going to go up? It's the same muscle as when you're in a bull and you're crushing it and you're looking at this insane gaining moonrunner. But then you start saying, ooh, what if a whale sells? What if one of these big multi-billionaires in this community dumps on us? And you can fudge yourself out. And then when you sell, watch the thing just moon running. And that is exactly the same kind of psychological hit your mind's going to take as if you're in a bear and you lose it. It's literally the same thing. If you are at $100 and you go down, like you said, if you're at $60 and you go down to 2 or 30 to 2, that is such a big loss. It's like going off a chart, straight off a cliff. But if you have gains and you sell it early and the thing moon runs, it does the same thing. So it's really important to understand you're not just preparing yourself through a bear. You're preparing yourself for when we start moon running, and you keep your hands strong. This is literally diamond hand training.
Yep.
Well, and the other thing I wanted to say real quick too is that this is how it was for me in 2017, man. I didn't really know what the heck I was doing. I heard I was working at CenturyLink in Bellevue with a buddy that owned a jewelry store, and heard that, hey, I kind of got into the silver and gold, and then here on like CNBC or whatever show was on TV that, hey, Bitcoin's like the digital gold, Litecoin's like the digital silver. I didn't really know what I was doing, but what I wanted to say is, it's important in any investment, right? And I heard Funding Jim talk about this the other day, but kind of like an investment thesis, right? A lot of us will get into something, whether it's anything, right? But then you don't know how, and it's not like you have to get out completely, but it's also important, as you had mentioned with some of these gains, maybe take a little bit off the top or take whatever you put back into it when it does a 10x or X amount of X, because you're never going to have perfect order execution. And kind of like Lit mentioned, it's kind of like, glass half full versus empty. If you're constantly looking in the past and you're like, damn, dude, I missed this, I missed that, woulda, coulda, shoulda, then you're never going to be able to seize the moment and the opportunity. But if you can kind of just, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? You don't have to follow it verbatim, but if you can at least ask yourself, because everyone's situation is different. I heard someone in the chat, they said like, oh, hey, general question broadly. They said, oh, if I have like 10 million Pulse X, is that going to make me rich? And, there's not enough details. It's a very nuanced question. There's not enough details for that to be answered. Right. So everyone needs to think about what their cost of living is, what their expenses are, and then, kind of just a strategy of how are you going to take profit? Because it's really easy on Coinbase or whatever to put the money in, but how are you going to, and when are you going to extract some value as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to hit the chat real quick. Crypto Artie, enjoy the accumulation stage in the single digits. It won't last long. If you have the right perspective, absolutely. We got Briz in the house. What up? What's up, brother? Good to see you, bro. He called it, all right? If you can't handle the bear market, you don't deserve the bull market. Oh, I'm going to quote you on that, bro. So rad. Let's see. Hit us in the chat if you have any questions about this bear market and what's going on in your life. And if you understand the point we're trying to make, tell me how you feel when you think about, what? Let's write. If you can't handle this bear, Briz is right. You're not going to be able to handle this bull. Think about it. It really is the same muscle, y'all.
Yeah,
Crypto Artie says this is the best market ever. Capitalize and seize the moment. Absolutely. What are you saying? What are you saying, Compassion?
No, I'm just saying, like, I just want to encourage anybody that watches this right now and on replay, like, we're all in different stages, and I've done pretty good in hex. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, when Pulse Chain and Pulse X rolled out, I put stacks in. You know what I mean? But when I got back from Las Vegas, I guess what I'm trying to encourage people to do is do what you need to do to just stack chips for Pulse Chain and Pulse X to come out. Do what you need to do. I've been working a ton, and it's just because I'm preparing. You know what I mean? This is the time to get ready. So that's all I'm going to try to say. Yeah.
Yeah, we want Richard to launch this thing, and when it does, it's going to get hectic.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Optimus Kevtron, much love, bro. Good to see you.
Great to see you,
Diamond
man.
hand training. I like that. Training right now. That's
Yep.
what this is. Let's be real, all right? This is where your hand's in the fire and you're hurting and it's burning and you want to start fudding yourself out, but you have to actually develop the skill. All right, y'all? You don't just walk into a martial arts studio and kick people's ass. You have to train. You have to learn. You have to strengthen yourself. You have to become more flexible. You have to become tougher. And if you don't, guess what? You're just going to keep getting beat up. But if you humble yourself and say, all right, I need to get in there and I need to learn, and you start working every single day to make yourself better, pretty soon you're going to be able to walk into that place and not only hold your own, but command respect outward. Okay. And I'm talking about the personal journey, the part of you that is like afraid to go in there in the first place. And you're like, all right, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And then you do it. And you may have a couple bad experiences, but your hand's in the fire and you're learning. You're becoming diamond handed. And as you continue to push yourself and keep showing up, it becomes about showing up. As a coach, I've seen many people become successful just by showing up, just by creating a commitment and saying, hey, I got something in my schedule and I'm going to do this every week, or I'm going to do this every other day. And they actually do it. And that is so important. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. When we can get our minds centered and focused, really pushing ourselves to be better every single day and to stay 1, 2, 3 things that we do consistently. What happens is we start to improve ourselves. We start to see gains in other areas. And even though the finances are in a bog and we're in a bear and we're in a delayed launch, even though all that stuff's happening, our personal life, we start seeing gains in other areas. And that's what I want to tell y'all. In the meantime of this blockchain launching, you need to be doing things that are building gains in other areas of your life. So I want to just let everyone know, during a bear, you have to be rebuilding yourself in other areas. All right. If you have any questions, hit us in the chat. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
I do want to say something similar to what Crypto Compassion had said, where sometimes I feel like there's like this, sometimes in the Hex community or just other crypto, where not necessarily stigma, but it's almost like shunned to have some like dry powder or some, you know, some capital aside, some USDC aside. And that's not necessarily true at all. You know, everyone's situation is different, but you know, but yeah, if you're working and you already have some crypto and things like that, hey, you know, kind of like he had mentioned, it doesn't hurt to, you know, maybe save some, you know, some dry powder or some USDC or whatever for a post launch or things like this. It doesn't always have to be one thing or another. It's not completely binary. It can be different from each person's situation. And then same thing with the ratios. They're always different from a situation to situation. So, you know, kind of like he had mentioned, is that, you know, find out what your situation is and find out how you can, you know, maximize what you want to do for when it goes back up and for when Pulse Chain launches, right? Because, you know, it hasn't launched yet, but one of these days, you know, weeks or years, it will launch. And so you just got to be prepared for that.
I want to stop you right there. What's your level on a 1 to 10 scale, Brian? What's your level as far as conviction in RH products?
Definitely a 10. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, definitely a 10. After seeing, so when I had been in crypto, I was big into the Litecoin community at the time, because you know, that was kind of similar to the Hex community as far as a big community. But anyways, when so I'd followed Richard Hart, and then initially it was Bitcoin Hex, and then it was Hex. But anyways, the conviction is super high, right? Not just from the gains. The gains are cool too, but when you see the kind of people that are in this community, when I just see we're so dang early, you know, and Lit had kind of mentioned that, hey, Bitcoin's done a 6.9 million X, but do you think that happened overnight? You know, it definitely didn't. But when you kind of zoom out, it's like, oh, you know, that kind of happened in a, you know, decently fast time compared to some of the other assets. But the conviction is definitely there. I mean, to see him build something with 100% uptime. I know Hexologist had Dev Kyle on the other day, who he found some initial flaws in the share rate. And so if it had launched before Dev Kyle had kind of come on board and found some of these errors, X wouldn't be what it is today, you know? And then that would also kind of tarnish, in my opinion, some of the reputation that Richard Hart would have at the time. But, you know, because he had waited to make sure it was done right, it was almost similar to where it is now. But the only thing that I say is that the difference is that, you know, we didn't have a sacrifice phase back then. You know, it was just launched and then you could begin. But the conviction is definitely there. And honestly, yeah, when you look at the community and some of these other things that people are doing, I've never been more bullish. And so as you said, we had met one time, and I'm glad that we're streaming because this is the first time too, definitely get to know the community, man. Because if people, whether it's with physical health or anything like that, if someone's ever going through something, which people are always going through different things, you know, it helps to know someone else that's been through that, or they can kind of coach you and say, hey man, like, you know, this has happened once before. You know, it's gonna get better in the future, things like that. So it makes it easier when you're not just the lone wolf, when you've got a pack of people that are going through it together.
Yeah.
We got a chat. Brandon, can you light the candles when Pulse Chain launches?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't want the candle wax to get on the girlfriend's little couch here, but maybe set some plastic down, something like that. Maybe.
Yeah,
why not?
I just want to tell everyone in this community who has been super awesome to me in this whole streaming journey that I've had. I have so much love for all y'all. And I just want to let you guys know, for me personally, at this time, I really care about my integrity, and I have so much invested in this community being the first Pulse Chain channel that started rallying one fact after another, pumping this project, absolutely loving it. No one told me to do that. I just saw it and was like, oh my God, this is it. The multi-billionaires are aping into this thing, and it's early and it hasn't launched. I was on fire, and that fire, it translated to all of y'all. And I got to see all these other Pulse Chain channels pop up. And I've been in the driver's seat for a long time. And I had stuff happen with my mom. I had to bail out a little bit. And you know what? If you need to bail out of the community for your personal life, do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't stick around here if your mom's sick, or if your dad, or you have family or friends or kids, or you. It's time to take care of your health. It's time to actually do what's right for you. And I had to do that. And coming back at this time, for me to see where the community is at, the delayed launch, a lot of people coming in trying to FUD, and the people who have been here flexing out the whole time, feeling stress, feeling like, Richard, what is going on? We have to be real with each other. That's a real thing in our minds. And we have to fully acknowledge, dude, what is going on? So being the first Pulse Chain channel and rallying all this energy and channeling it to you guys and actually connecting as a community, I have so much weight on my shoulders for a Pulse Chain launch. Because if you understand how much I have put out for Pulse Chain, and then to see the delayed, to see the bear, to see that, well, we might not launch for a while, maybe we launch tomorrow, to think that we're going to launch in March, it's a lot on me, because I care about everyone in this chat, and I care about everyone here. And I just want to let y'all know that. Super chat. Oh, thank you so much. The Hex community makes my life awesome. Thank you for all you do. Absolutely. Brian, major love, bro. Thank you so much. And I just want to let y'all know from the bottom of my heart, I really actually care about you guys. Okay. and I care about myself and my integrity. And when I'm telling you this is the nectar, I want it to actually launch so we can all ride this moon run. And I want to have conversations with y'all when we're crushing it. Okay, Bran, tell me, do you I remember talking to you about taking screenshots of your bankroll just thriving. And you know what? I want to have that experience with y'all. So just know that no one wants this to launch more than me. And I'm gonna be here in the promised land. Bran has already been through the ups, he's already been through the downs. Crypto Compassion has already seen this in real estate, seen it tank and had to recover. And we've been through this. We have experience. If you're stressed out, reach out. We'll hit you up. We're in this game. We'll do the best we can. We're super busy, but we're here to help. And it's time to come together as a community. And no one wants this thing to launch more than me. So I just want to be totally transparent and tell y'all, I got your back. I'm so happy to be in this community with you. And if there's anything else you guys want to say, we can wrap it up. Any final thoughts?
That's the very last thing that I'll say is just kind of reiterate what you had said. If you've got something that you're going through and things like that, as you mentioned, there's always going to be, and I had to turn off the notifications on all the YouTube streams. It was just getting too much, man. Like hearing the dang, the bell every time, that was kind of getting a little too much. Anyways, the community is always going to be here. And like you mentioned, whether it's family or things like this, health, obviously, that comes first before anything else. So don't necessarily, because I may have not done this, or I may have done this in the past, but don't sacrifice some of those things, right? That are crucial, that are important, because it's not worth it. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, and I would just say,
Compassion. Any thoughts on it?
I would just say I'm more bullish than ever. I mean, I got so much hope for the future and the present. And I guess what I'm trying to say is continue to self-improve, everyone. I mean, that's you will not go wrong investing in yourself in every way possible, top to bottom. And then when everything hits, you'll be in a better position to handle the bull run. So here we go.
Absolutely. Bran's the man. You're dang right. I really appreciate having Valiant Brand here. He has a lot of experience. He's been in this crypto game a long time. If you guys want to check out his channel, tell people where they can find you, Bran.
It's right there in the little header. And just on my link.com / Valiant Brand, just Valiant Brand everywhere. But then same thing for you, man. I mean, and once again, nice to stream with Crypto Compassion for the first time. But I remember, your first stream lit, and I think it was us. But since then, you've done multiple streams, and like you mentioned, man, with Raquel, I had, and it was awesome to see Optimus Kevtron on there too. I didn't know that was her background story, man, and it really goes to show you that it takes a lot of heart and things like that to share some difficult experiences. But then you find out when you do, especially like in communities and things, that other people have gone through very similar things. So that was really cool to hear and see. And then, like you mentioned, you look at her now, and like you said, if you didn't hear her share those experiences, for me, just looking on the outside, I've seen her on Twitter, didn't really know much about her. I would have no idea. So it really is cool that you can, get together with the community and share some of these things. And your streams are awesome, man. The energy is infectious. And, this community really is the best thing ever. I've never had more friends than joining this community. So, many more bullish days and things like that ahead.
Yeah, there's so much about what you just said. That's awesome. Huge shout out to Raquel Fuentes. You can find her on Twitter at Raquel, Raquel Fuentes, Fuentes. She's totally awesome. And I think she stands as like a symbol of inspiration. When I saw what she had actually been through and explained it, she was so calm. She was so in her body. She just doesn't have to yell or get crazy. She just calmly expressed it. And you can actually feel the power translate. And people like that are in this community. And we have to reach out to them and connect. It's so healthy. Connect with all of each other, especially in this bear. And when we link up as friends now in the bull and the bear, imagine celebrating as friends in the bull. That's it, y'all. If there's anything else that you want to say, Crypto Compassion, let's close it out.
No, I threw a couple things in the description. We're growing as a community, and so there's some places you can find me, and I'm super excited. I'm glad to talk with you guys on stream, and I'm looking forward to the future.
Absolutely, y'all. Thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to y'all soon. Until the next time, stay healthy, stay happy. Remember to stretch. Get yourself in the gym if you can. Focus on your finances. Collect your dry powder. Understand we're in a delay, okay? But we didn't get rugged. Richard Hart is going to push the launch button, and it's going to hit us by surprise one day. We're going to open our computers, and we're going to go, oh, my God, mainnet's live. But until then, we have to stay together, become friends, take it day by day. And before you know it, we'll be celebrating with these same friends we're making in the bear. Thank you so much for being here. We'll talk to y'all soon. Until the next time, peace.